Episode 11. Chen Guo didn't actually have the habit of pulling all-nighters. She was just checking out the new server launch for the fun of it. After watching for a while, drowsiness quickly set in. She leaned back in her chair and drifted off without even realizing it. The quality of this sleep was, of course, poor, but Chen Guo simply didn't want to struggle to get up. In that half-awake state, her ears couldn't help but pick up the sound of keyboards and mouse clicks nearby. For a net cafe owner, this sound was a familiar one, but what Chen Guo was hearing now was different. The sound was a rhythm of its own, now urgent, now measured, now light, now heavy. Chen Guo had never heard anyone make a keyboard and mouse sound like percussion instruments. Was she dreaming? Chen Guo jolted awake. She steadied herself, listening more intently, and realized it truly wasn't a dream. The sound was coming from right beside her, from the new night shift manager she'd just hired today, Ye Shu. Chen Guo sat up to look, and the coat draped over her slipped down. She quickly grabbed it and recognized it as Ye Shu's jacket. Who knew he could be so considerate? But how long has it been since this jacket was washed? It's practically starting to smell. Chen Guo picked up the jacket and sat up, about to speak to Ye Shu, but froze in place. A pair of hands that could bring a person to tears appeared right before Chen Guo's eyes. Ye Shu's hands. They looked slender, with long tapering fingers. The knuckles weren't thick and coarse like a typical man's, yet they were clearly defined. His fingertips were slender, his nails neatly trimmed and perfectly evened. This was in stark contrast to his otherwise rather slovenly appearance. Chen Guo had never been one to pay much attention to people's hands, but later, a girl with exceptionally pretty hands started frequenting the internet cafe, and under her influence, Chen Guo gradually began to notice them. Yet now, Ye Shu's hands had utterly stunned her. His hands were perfect, and the sound of their tapping was like music. But watching Ye Shu's left hand dancing across the keyboard, Chen Guo had only one thought. His APM was so slow. APM refers to the number of actions performed per minute. Glory isn't a strategy game where you command armies. You're controlling a single character, but the skill usage is complex and the movement precision is extremely high. That's why it still demands a high APM. A player with high APM can execute their moves faster. When you refine your inputs, the force and timing of each keystroke directly shape your character's movements, adding a whole new layer of unpredictability to combat. But you have to distinguish the quality of that variation. Some people just keep mashing keys to make their APM look flashy and impressive. Only the top-tier professional players can truly make every single action count, while still achieving a high APM. An APM of 200 is a widely recognized benchmark in the glory scene. For regular players, hitting over 200 APM is usually just frantic button mashing. Even for pro experts, sustaining that kind of speed often requires specific combat conditions. At the very least, the opponent can't be too weak, requiring an APM over 200 to handle it. For the average player, about 70% have an APM between 80 and 120. 25% are the handicapped crowd who can't even hit 80. The remaining 5%, those are the elite among casual players, the ones who can exceed 120 and constantly push toward 200. It's said that among them, there are also those who can reach the professional benchmark of 200. Chen Guo's APM hovered around 120 on average. But since she could usually hit 120 with a bit to spare, she firmly believed she belonged to that top 5% of experts. But to Chen Guo's eyes, Ye Shu at this moment was undeniably a hand cripple who couldn't even hit 80. The moment she noticed this, Chen Guo realized the rhythmic, rapid-fire keystrokes she'd heard earlier were gone. All she could hear now were the slow, deliberate clicks of a complete amateur.
Was I just dreaming?
Chen Guo shook her head, trying to recapture the feeling from her dream, but found it impossible to recapture. Now all he could focus on was the cripplingly clumsy gameplay and a pair of hands so beautiful they were almost enviable. Chen Guo was so focused on the hands, she forgot to look at the screen. A moment later, Ye Shu's hands came to a stop. Only then did Chen Guo snap out of it. He glanced at the screen, and his eyes went wide.
The Night Fang Cat Demon.
As he spoke, the Dark Night Cat Demon crashed down from its high arc, scattering loot across the ground. At the same moment, Chen Guo saw a line of eye-catching system announcements flash across the screen's info panel. First clear of the 10th server's Dark Night Cat Demon, Lord Grimm. Chen Guo slapped a hand down on Ye Shu's shoulder.
Damn.
Not bad at all.
Forget about being a noob or not. Scoring a first clear is an achievement Chen Guo herself has never managed, even after all this time. Yi Shu was intently focused on checking the loot when the sudden slap caught him completely off guard. He nearly swallowed the cigarette dangling from his lips, and a cascade of silvery ash tumbled gracefully onto his keyboard. Chen Guo, who had been peeking at Yi Shu's screen from behind his shoulder, leaned in closer. The moment she saw the scene, all thoughts of the hidden boss's first clear vanished. She immediately yanked off his headphones and roared into his ear.
Who said you could smoke in here?
Huh?
The cigarette was still dangling, unextinguished from Ye Shu's lips. He didn't quite get what Chen Guo meant.
No smoking. Didn't see it?
Chen Guo said, pointing at the wall. Ye Shu turned his head to scrutinize the sign on it.
You're kidding me. No smoking in the internet cafe?
This is the non-smoking section. If you want to smoke, go over there.
Let's head over.
No, the smell of smoke gives me a headache.
Then what do we do?
Ye Shu looked as if he were facing the most difficult dilemma in the world.
Will you die if you smoke one less cigarette?
No, but it gives me a headache. You.
Chen Guo was starting to get a read on this Ye Shu. He could accept a living situation like the storage room without complaint, but that didn't mean he was an easy person to handle.
I'll head to the smoking area myself. You go get some rest, boss.
Hold on.
You still haven't told me how you got that first clear.
Nothing much. My teammates all wiped. The boss was low and I just picked up the kill.
Seriously? That's a thing?
Chen Guo's tone was still tinged with envy. As for the first clear reward for a low-level hidden boss like that, he wasn't particularly interested. It was just extra experience and money, nothing like a top-tier piece of gear would drop. But this record will remain on the leaderboard forever, becoming a legendary presence in this server. That's a feeling many players truly relish. For most ordinary players, getting on a leaderboard like this is only possible during the early game. By the mid to late stages, dungeon difficulty ramps up. Achieving a first clear, or a first clear on a hidden boss, requires a stable, high-level team with real synergy. But once you reach the heavenly domain, even those high-level teams won't stand a chance. All the records there are held by the professional teams from the esports circuit.
Let's see what dropped.
With a touch of envy, Chen Guo leaned in to see what the Nightfang cat had dropped.
5 cat claws. Trash. 1 cat hide breastplate. Wear it for now. Low-level gear doesn't matter. 2 night cat claws, 1 night cat paw, and a single night cat's eye stone. Yeah, these are good. Hidden boss materials. We should keep them. They'll definitely sell for a good price. A skill book? Damn, what kind of luck is that?
Chen Guo had already cried out in surprise. Ye Chu was also taken aback. To get a skill book from the lowest level hidden boss? What incredible luck was that?